Adam Lavelle, the wrestling snob, back with you to talk about Noah's N1 Victory Tournament Night 7 on August 18th, 2024 in Sendai. First two matches did not exist. They were forfeitures. Jack Morris gets 2 points over Katoge by forfeit. Katoge is out of the tournament. Keno gets 2 points over El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., who is out by forfeit. Again, unfortunate, but this is the risks you take working the hard style that Noah works. And I'm not happy about this, but I know it's a risk. And unfortunately, these things happen. So hopefully Katoge and Wagner Jr. get back soon. But the first official match that happened in the ring was All Rebellion. That's the team of Alejandro and Keno took on Jack Morris and Super Crazy. I mean, pardon me a minute, but isn't that kind of a wild team? Jack Morris and Super Crazy. It's just a team I never thought I would see. If it happened during the few months I've been gone from Noah, well, I apologize and I regret being gone. But wow, I don't know. Just find that a very interesting team, to say the least. Alejandro and Keno look like $1 million, but you have to remember both of them are members of Congo. But now they are baby faces. The fans love these guys. To hear the women and children yelling out, Keno, 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 in the audience is just something to behold. Alejandro was out of Congo some time ago. Of course, Congo doesn't exist at all. That's why they're in All Rebellion. And they're in there with Kaito Kiyomiya, and I think there's another member, but I can't remember who, and I don't think the guy wrestles and Noah too often. I haven't seen him in some time. But so that was a good team. And that was the problem. Jack Morris and Super Crazy, they didn't fight, they didn't squabble, they didn't have any issues. I didn't think Super Crazy looked that bad here. I liked this match. I thought it was fun. You know what I mean? And not fun in a hokey gaga mainstream American wrestling kind of way. It was just fun watching Jack Morris and Super Crazy gel, which they did. I'm not asking for them to become a regular team or anything, but they gelled well. And I really thought Alejandro and Keno just looked great here. Of course, they won the match when Keno made Super Crazy tap to a crossface. And Jack Morris, it was really funny watching Keno taunt Jack Morris with his muscle pose, his flex pose. He did it numerous times, and then Alejandro joined in. And when the match was over, Alejandro and Keno stood up on the second turnbuckle together and both did the Jack Morris double by flex pose, if you will, if I can learn to speak. Just a really good way to start this show. It was very enjoyable and a lot of fun to watch this match. I don't know what else to say, but I think you'll enjoy it if you haven't seen it. Match number 2 from the N1 Victory Tournament, Pro Wrestling Noah, that took place on the 18th of August in Sendai, was a three-way matchup. And any of you know me well, some of you may not, but those who do know that I'm not a big fan of three-way matches. It usually tends to lead to a lot of one guy laying around while the other two wrestle. This was Asuka versus Daga versus Hajime Ohara. And let me tell you how Noah took care of this, and I appreciate it greatly. How did they take care of the one guy laying around selling while the other two fight? Well, Daga and Asuka took turns or even worked together to beat up Ohara and get him out of the ring because they wanted to wrestle one-on-one. That's brilliant in a way. How do you have psychology in a three-way match? Well, you have two guys in this match that are destined to square off for a title, and a third guy just randomly thrown in there who I knew was going to be the guy who took the pin, so that took a little away from it. But you throw a third guy in there, the two guys don't want him around because they want each other, and they actually work together in some ways to just get him out of the way. I know I just repeated myself, but I want that to sink in. Noah tried to develop some psychology in a three-way match, and it pretty much worked. Ohara was out most of the time, but it made sense because both of his opponents wanted him out. And so this was pretty much about Asuka taking on Daga most of the time, which was a very thrilling and exciting matchup. And when they go together one-on-one soon for that GHC junior title, it's going to be must-see because both of these guys are excellent. Daga is an excellent heel and a very strong wrestler. Asuka is a very strong high flyer and a big-time babyface. This has all the elements of a must-see match. Now, they faced each other in the past, so you know what their matches are like. You know that they're good. They've had some time off and away from each other. Now they're going to circle it back, which works. You know, we got away from it for a while, and now we're going to see it again. Daga wants that title match. It also increases the value of that title. Daga lost it, could have went on to something else, could have chased something else, could have went to the heavyweight division, even though he's kind of small. Could have done any number of things, but instead he has developed a thirst and a desire for Amaska's junior title. And he also sees how popular Amaska is, and he wants to be the guy that takes him down and takes him out. But instead, Daga's mistake, in a way, was helping Amaska get O'Hara out and down most of this matchup, because all it took was for Amaska to get Daga out of the ring, which he did, kicked him and threw him over the top rope, then tossed O'Hara back into the ring and hit his top flipping move, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of it, on O'Hara and pinned him 1, 2, 3. So Daga helped lead to his loss in this match by helping to beat up O'Hara. Now, it could have worked the other way. Daga could have done the same thing, but Amaska just outsmarted Daga a little bit here and pinned a more than often double-teamed O'Hara for the win at around 8 minutes. So this wasn't a real long match, but it worked. It showed you how desperate Amaska and Daga are to face each other, and it added psychology to a three-way match. And I'm telling you, that is something you hardly ever see in a three-way match. So nice job, guys. I liked it. Number 3, from night number 7 of the N1 Victory Tournament, Pro Wrestling Noah, August 18, 2024. We are up to the third match of the night. Titus Alexander took on Ulka Sasaki in a pretty solid match. Now, I say pretty solid because there was some gaps here or there. And by gaps, I don't mean big mistakes or botches or anything like that, but there was some pauses. There was some starts and stops that a trained eye could catch pretty well. And I'm not saying I'm on any kind of knowledge or skill level as either of these two great wrestlers, but I've been around wrestling enough that I noticed some little quips here or there. Nothing big. A lot of fans probably didn't notice, but it didn't really harm the match too badly because I enjoyed this greatly. Look, Titus Alexander is special. I got to wonder if he's going to be around Noah a while. If not a long tour, like he'll be back and forth a lot or something, because he wins this. And yeah, we're getting to the outcome here quickly. Ulka Sasaki really had him in arm bars, choke holds, triangles, all the MMA stuff that he's an expert at. And Alexander got out of all of them. I mean, he just kicked out like a pin kick out, get out of choke holds. He stood up in arm bars. It was like he had MMA experience or something, and maybe he does. I don't know the kid that well. I looked him up a little. I know he's from West Coast Pro. I know he was extremely a big deal out there, and Noah found out about him. Maybe he went to one of their tryouts out there. I don't know, but they like him, and it's clear they like him. I mean, he's going through this roster, not beating everyone, but even those he hasn't beaten, he's looked like $1 million against. It took him 2 of those sort of Osprey cutters off the ropes, if you will, the Oz cutters. Don't want to call him that. That's a New Japan guy, but, you know, Titus cutters. Took him 2 of them in a row to take Ulka Sasaki down, along with a bunch of other stuff. That kick up he does. That up kick, if you will, where he'll be thrown into the corner or something and fall down on his back, and when his opponent charges, and then just kick up like he's almost doing a kip up, but it's a kick and he nails it his opponents in the face. I've never seen it done before. It isn't a move that looks ridiculously hard to pull off. I mean, for someone like me, it would be. But I mean, for a wrestler, it doesn't look like a ridiculously difficult thing to learn and do, but I've never seen it. And it works tremendously. I mean, it's a nice little setup move that literally looks like he knocks the opponent's head off. You know what I mean? It's nice. It's a kick up. Oh, Jesus. Not talking well tonight. It just looks really good, and it's a nice setup move, and this was a big win. Another big win. This is common when I'm talking about Titus Alexander to say a big win for him here once again. He moves all the way up to 8 points. Sasaki, the national champion, only has 4, and this kid is doubling our national champion. Telling you, keep an eye on Titus Alexander. He's going places. The next match from Noah, N1 Victory Tournament in Sendai on August 18th, 2024, was a tournament matchup that saw Ryohei Oya take on Dragon Bane. Dragon Bane's so much better than you realize. I mean, I know he's good, and you know him and his brother, Dragon Wolf, are an amazing tag team. But you sometimes just forget how good both of them are in singles. And so it's amazing to see. Dragon Bane controlled controlled the first 5 minutes of this match. I mean, he was throwing Oya around, not like a rag doll, but he pretty much was doing what he wanted. Threw him outside of the ring, dove over the top rope onto him, threw him back into the ring, bunch of spin kicks, a bunch of moves I don't know the names of, even though I've been a wrestling commentator. I was more of a color guy rather than a play-by-play. I didn't have to memorize moves. I'm not Excalibur. And then I can't impersonate him. So I don't know the names of all the moves. You'll have to forgive me and understand this. But let me tell you, Dragon Bane hit all of them. Oya didn't know what to do. And about the 5-minute mark, Oya seemed to wake up. Something seemed to get to him, and he realized, if I don't get on the stick, this kid, this Dragon Bane, is going to beat me. And Oya is a kid as well. And he really started to come back with some big moves, with some power slams, some power moves, just basically using his size to move Dragon Bane around more than he was. But it didn't do much. For the next couple of minutes, Dragon Bane ate Oya's offense and continued to come back. It was quite the sight to behold. It wasn't until Oya hit him with, they weren't German suplexes, they weren't really Saito suplex, they were sort of a modified belly-to-back suplex, which I know can be a German suplex. You know what I mean if you watch the match, right? Sort of a very high-angled German suplex, belly-to-back suplex. 3 of them in a row on Dragon Bane until he finally took some control of this match. So, I don't know. He woke up, came storming back, Oya did. Dragon Bane ate everything he had to offer and continued his lucha offense pretty successfully until Oya hit those big backdrops. And then he started to not really even take control then, but started to even things up and show that he was capable of winning this match. And he picked Bane up and won with a big sit-out, sit-down power bomb to move up to 7 points, and Bane is still at 6. So they're still close. Even though Oya won this match, Dragon Bane remains close on the point level. So this tournament is extremely interesting. We got a lot of people up at 6, 7, and 8 here. And someone's going to have to separate themselves to stand a shot of winning this thing, and it's going to be fun, that's for sure. But this match was fun. Oya comes back, beats Dragon Bane with a big sit-down powerbomb after those 3 belly-to-back high-angle suplexes. I thought it was a very interesting and fun match. Okay, we are up to the 5th match from August 18, 2024. That would be Night 7 of the Noah N1 Victory Tournament. And this is a 6-man tag team match that didn't really light the world on fire for me. There was nothing wrong with it. It was executed fine. The wrestlers all did their job greatly. I'm talking about Hayata, Tadasuke, and Yohei taking on Junta Miyawaki, Yu Iwata, and Kai Fujimura. Look, you know who's winning this. I mean, Junta Miyawaki, he's pretty good. Kai Fujimura and Yu Iwata are good, but again, there are young boys. There are black trunk, black boot wearing young guys, and they're going to get beat. That's the way it goes. They put on some good offense, don't get me wrong. It's not like they go out there and they're slugs. They're great workers, but they're not fully established. When you're young boys and you're dressed in black tights and black boots, you know that you just aren't high on the priority list of any company that does this. Even if you're good, it doesn't matter. That means they're still figuring out who you are and what you're going to be in the world of professional wrestling. There used to be rumors about me that that's all I wanted. I wanted all wrestlers in black boots and black trunks and wrestling pure matches, which is nonsense. Do I like pure wrestling? Absolutely. Am I cool with a wrestler like Shibata, the old Shibata anyway, not this AEW goof, that wore all black and came out there and just kicked ass? Yes. And if one of these guys turns out to be that type of wrestler, awesome. But they aren't yet. They're just there. They're performing, and they perform well. They wrestle well. They wrestle right. But you just know that one of them is going to lose. And I was so looking forward to Hayata, Tadasuke, and Yohei, and they're good here. They're fun here. But look, this is an N1 tournament match, and this match is a filler. It's just here for filler, to get these guys on the card, to get them some work in, and I don't begrudge that. And I'm not saying it was a bad match. You know, I don't give star ratings to matches. I just don't do that. But for the sake of argument here, if we were rating this from 0 to 5, this would get a 3. This 2.5, 3. Because it just was. It was what it was, which was a fine little match. Lasted 12 minutes in the middle of an N1 tournament show that just served its purpose, I guess. and that's fine. Hayata Tadasuke and Yohei win. Of course, they take one of the young boys out. I don't even remember which one. Junta Miyawaki was sort of annoyed and upset, but that's what happens when you team with these guys. And you know what I'd do? I'd put Kai Fujimura and Yu Iwata together as some type of basic tag team, but make them sort of badass. Not necessarily heels, but make them like a brain buster, totally an Arn type of tag team. And I know this is Japan, so it doesn't have to be exactly that, but in that vein, in that light, at least until you figure out what else you're going to do with them. Put them together, make them a good tag team, let them win some matches, let them contend, maybe even eventually win the junior titles. I don't know. Noah's not going to listen to me, and they don't have to. They have an amazing company. But since those two sort of flounder, and it's clear they don't know where they're going with them, I would start there. But Hayata, Tadasuke, and Yohei win this. Tadasuke puts on the spinning toe hold over and over and over. It was either on Fujimura or Iwata. I think it was Iwata. And even after the bell, he attacked him and continued to put it on, which is cool, seeing that old Terry Funk maneuver where he just twists his leg, doesn't fall into the figure four, just does the spinning toe hold. I kind of like that. But the match was fine, but it wasn't anything incredible. I'm just telling the truth. Match number 6 from night 7 of the N1 Victory Tournament from Pro Wrestling Noah. Of course, it was on August 18th, 2024. Saw Manabu Soya take on Alpha Wolf. Now, these guys just beat the shit out of each other. I've said this about a few matches, but sometimes you just got to call a spade a spade. And that's what this was, especially the first half of the match, was Soya and Wolf just clotheslines, kicks, power slams, just all your big power moves back and forth to each other. Now, Dragon Wolf, did put some of his lucha in there. He got a dive off at the top rope. I think he dove through the ropes, tope suicida. He threw his lucha in there. But generally, other than a move here or there, a luchador flying move, not many. This was just these guys just chopping each other back and forth, forearming each other back and forth. Jim Cornette would have hated this, because this was just two big, strong men trying to prove their worth to one another, trying to show who had more fighting spirit, trying to show who could take more and keep standing, over and over and over. Now, again, I've seen matches that do what I'm talking about worse than this, because about halfway through, they finally started to pull out some other stops, Dragon Wolf started to, or Alpha Wolf, I'm sorry, I keep messing these guys' names up. There's two wolves, the two brothers. I apologize. Alpha Wolf really started to work on the outside of the ring a little bit. They started biting each other. You know how Alpha Wolf bites the fingers of his opponent sometimes? Well, Manabu Soya paid him back by biting his fingers. Sounds silly, but it wasn't. I mean, if someone's going to bite you and you can't get him to release, well, you just do what you got to do and bite him back. Sort of like when you're punishing a toddler, I guess. Some people will resort to that. I'm not advocating for that, but I've heard of it. But no, these two really fought each other very well. It looked like Alpha Wolf stood a good chance of winning this, but Manabu Soya absorbed a whole lot of punishment toward the end of this and just stood back up and yelled at the top of his lungs and delivered one of his clotheslines, delivered his Death Valley driver, and then a jumping DDT. He knew he had to come up with a lot of strong offense to take out Alpha Wolf. That was the story. That was the message of this match. Alpha Wolf could withstand a power battle with Manabu Soya. He could withstand the clotheslines. He could withstand the chops and the punches and the kicks. So Manabu Soya knew he had to pull out some moves, some holds, if you will, and he did that to end this match and get the win and move up to 8 points. Unfortunately, Alpha was still all the way down at 3 points. I mean, him and his brother were talking about headlining this together in the main event to decide who would win this tournament, but I don't think that's going to happen. Alpha Wolf has looked good, don't get me wrong, but at 3 points, I don't think he has enough time left to get to the top of this. But this was a good match. I enjoyed it. Wasn't my favorite, but hey, two big bulls crashing horns until one of the bulls realized they had to do more than just butt heads, did it, and won the match. Manabu Soya. 7th match of the night. Noah N1 Victory Tournament Night 7. August 18th, 2024 was Big Josh Briggs from WWE NXT taking on Luis Monte. and he is from Dragon Gate, and he hasn't impressed me a lot. He's a good wrestler. I mean, he's fine. But I don't know. I don't favor the guy. I don't know why. There's nobody in Noah that I hate. There's nobody who wrestles in Noah that I'm going to say, oh, I can't stand them. Or no. If you're in Noah, you are good. If you're in Noah, you have earned it. If you're in Noah, you've earned my respect. But I don't want to see him doing well. Okay, you know what I mean? He's just not my style of guy. If you're going to send someone over to Noah, make it someone like Josh Briggs. Now, I love this match because this was just Josh Briggs beating the living hell out of Monte. Now, Monte had a few hope spots, 3 or 4. Big hurricanrana off the top rope, big leaping clothesline where he backed up the ramp and ran in and jumped over the top rope. 2 or 3 more where he looked good and looked like, we might get a quick pin here. He might upset. Well, it wouldn't be an upset probably to the Japanese people. They probably think this Luis Monte is the man. But Josh Briggs, once again, just taunted him. I mean, he is the taunt monster in this tournament. He taunts the referee. He taunts his opponents. He taunts the crowd. He's just jaw-jacking. He's just bad-mouthing. And he's in there delivering his big running boots, his clotheslines, his chops. He just lifts Monte up and drops him on the ground, slams him on the ground, and then looks like he's kind of bored. I love how they're presenting Josh Briggs in this tournament. I loved how he was presented here. Monte looked worried the whole entire time, so he played his role nicely. He looked concerned. He looked to the crowd. He looked to the camera with an expression that said, how am I going to beat this guy? Because even when he did chop him down, even when he did cut him down a little bit, Josh Briggs recovered quickly. It didn't hurt him very badly. I think Kaito Kamiya showed us that if you're going to beat Josh Briggs, you got to take his legs out from under him. You got to take a limb out. And honestly, I never saw Luis Monte even try to do that. He just tried. Luis Monte thought he'd come in here and out wrestle Josh Briggs. Josh Briggs is an incredible wrestler. But he's an incredible power guy. He's an incredible strong man who can wrestle, and he doesn't have to have all kinds of moves. He will just beat you down, slam you down, step on your skull, and crush it. And that's what he did here, and with a gigantic clothesline to hell on Luis Monte to end it. You could tell that Briggs just got to the point where he's like, you know what, I'm not even going to keep trying to deliver this choke bomb because this son of a bitch does escape that. Luis Monte did manage to not get choke bombed. Every time he was lifted up in the choke or Briggs put his hand around his throat, Monte would pull some offensive maneuver to get out of it and get a little bit of a hope in the match. So about the 9-minute mark, just past 9 minutes, Josh Briggs said, to hell with this, delivered a massive clothesline, and pinned Luis Monte 1, 2, 3. Josh Briggs walks away with 8 points. He's up near the top. 8 and 9 points at this point of the tournament has you at or near the top. Monte remains at 6. I really enjoyed this because I just liked watching Monte get beat up by Josh Briggs. What do I say about match number 8? Match number 8 on night 7 of Pro Wrestling Noah's N1 Victory Tournament. The date for this show was August 18, 2024. It was in Sendai. What do I mean when I say what do I say about Tavian Heights versus Yoshiki Inamura? I love doing this show. I love talking about Noah. I love the few hundred people that actually listen to what I have to say. I know it's not many. I know I'll likely never have a huge audience here because, and I'm not insulting Noah when I say this, it's one of the smallest promotions in Japan, unfortunately. It didn't used to be years ago. But fans don't like simple, pure, solid professional wrestling these days. They like stunt shows, they like drama, they like cinema. I'm not even insulting when I'm not trying to when I say that. It's just what they want. And Noah is just straight up, hard-nosed, in-your-face combat sport professional wrestling, and I absolutely adore it, and I absolutely adored this match. My problem is I think sometimes my talking, my analysis, if you will, I don't take notes on these matches. Maybe I should start. Maybe that would help me. I go straight off of memory. I record this right after watching the match. I mean, 2-3 seconds after, and I go by memory. But I worry that I'm going to sound like I did when I talked about some other matches, like Manabu Soya versus Alpha Wolf. This was not the same match. This was much faster paced, though not fast paced. You know what I mean? Much faster than Soya versus Wolf. Meaning Inamura and Tavian Heights didn't stop tearing into each other. They tore into each other in a similar fashion of Manabu Soya and Alpha Wolf, but they did it much more quick-paced and way more suplexes, if you will. Both guys tried to suplex each other to hell. They tried to splash each other in the corner. They clotheslined each other massively. I mean, this was just two big guys, again, much like Soya and Wolf, but the matches aren't the same. But I'm worried that my words are going to sound the same because the strategy was similar. The strategy was similar. But Tavian Heights and Yoshiki Inamura just moved much quicker than their co-workers, Soya and Wolf. And oh God, I hate this, guys. I love this match. I feel like I just want to say, I love this match. Go watch it. You won't regret it. Thank you. Because tearing it down is difficult to not sound like some of the other matches I've tried to break down a little bit. Because the strategy here, the way I would break this down if I were talking about their strategies, is both guys went balls to the wall, believing they could wear the other one down just by fighting, just by wrestling, just by getting a hold and doing their moves to each other. But that, in a way, makes it sound like an AEW match or something, and it was far from that. This was solid professional wrestling. Heights is incredible. Inamura is incredible. Heights wins this matchup over Yoshiki Inamura after his jumping, leaping, twisting belly to belly. If you haven't seen this, you have to see it to know why I'm explaining it that way. They just wore each other down to near exhaustion, and Tavian Heights, I don't want to say he lucked out, but he was fortunate to hit the last move. And the big move to win this matchup. Heights kicked out of Yoshiki Inamura's big power moves, sometimes shockingly so, but he just kicked out more times than Inamura did and hit his big leaping, jumping, it's not the same word, you have to see it, belly to belly to win this in about just shy of 13 minutes. Great stuff. Heights moves up to 8 points. Inamura is at 6. And again, that puts Tavian Heights near the top. You know, the 8 points is damn near at the top of this entire tournament. So some people are going to have to fall here as we move on. We'll have to wait and see. But we got one more match left. That's the main event. It's next. But I really enjoyed this one too. Hey guys, Wrestling Snob, Adam Lavelle, WrestlingDoneRight.com. We are up to the main event of Night 7 of Pro Wrestling Noah's N1 Victory Tournament from August 18, 2024. We are 1 hour away from the next show. 1 hour away. I'm not going to make it live tonight, guys. I have got to get some sleep. Do you know how many shows I have covered for my YouTube page here in the last couple of days? I don't know how I'm not completely exhausted, passed out with my head down on my desk, to tell you the truth. But it looks like I am caught up. There are no more matches to be found. So it looks like Night 8 is just in an hour. It's like 3 p.m. in Japan. It'll be 2 a.m. here in America. But I'm not here to talk about that yet. Maybe when I get caught up, I'll start previewing shows. I haven't decided on that yet. Depends what gets watched and what doesn't. But this main event from Night 7 was Kaito Kiyomiya versus Masa Kitamiya. See, I'm tired. Not Masa. Kaito Kiyomiya versus Masa Kitamiya. In a 30-minute time limit draw. I'm laying that out there at the beginning, guys, because what this match was both of these guys just taking unbelievable amounts of punishment. I mean, look, you're going to go 30 minutes, you're going to get hit with everything your opponent has. And that's what happened here. And you're going to kick out of it. And that's what happened here. And I could be negative about that, but I'm not going to be for several reasons. First of all, this is Pro Wrestling Noah. Okay. Second of all, I'm okay with great wrestlers, even outside Pro Wrestling Noah. Someone like Gunther, someone like Braun Breaker, kicking out of every move under the sun. I'm okay with it. And then you throw that in a high situation, like a title defense, an attempt to win the N1 Victory Tournament, whatever, and wrestlers continue to do that. I'm okay with that. And this is Purisso. This is how it works there, right? It's all about fighting spirit. It's all about King's Road. And that's what this match was. It was just Kiyomiya and Kitamiya Those names are so similar. I mean, probably not in Japanese, but to the American tongue, Kiyomiya and Kitamiya are ridiculously similar. But their wrestling styles isn't. Okay, Kitamiya is all about beating you down and hitting you with his splashes and hitting you with his swantons and hitting you with his headbutts and clotheslines, while Kiyomiya is carrying on the traditions of someone like Keiji Muto, who's going to use shining wizards. He's going to use some top rope stuff. He's going to use skill and finesse, and Kitamiya is just going to come at you like a Mack truck. And that's what this was. Kitamiya controlled the first 10 minutes of this match. I mean, Kiyomiya looked like a beaten dog. He really did. But at one point, about 10, 12 minutes in, something flipped, and Kaito Kiyomiya took control of Masa Kitamiya, throwing him outside the ring. He got more aggressive is what he did. He got more insistent on just being more of a bully, even though he's a babyface and well-respected and loved. He just decided to go at it hard for the next 10 minutes. And at that point, we have 10 minutes left in the match, and the last 10 minutes consisted of Kaito Kiyomiya locking in the figure 4, on Masa Kitamiya, trying to get him to submit. He didn't. Eventually, Masa Kitamiya locks in the prison lock on Kaito Kiyomiya, trying to get him to submit, and he didn't. That put us down to about the last 5 minutes of the match, where both of these guys threw everything they had at each other, but they were both exhausted at this point. So I'm sure their moves weren't connecting as strong as they would have had they been able to nail like a shining wizard or a top rope senton from the start or earlier on. Both of them are worn out and exhausted, kicking out, having enough strength to kick out of each other's moves until the final bell rang, and we have a time limit draw. Kaito Kiyomiya at 8 points, Masa Kitamiya at 5. I don't know how Masa Kitamiya can make up the points because everybody at the top of this tournament is at least 8, and he would have a hard time doing that. I'm not sitting here calling him out. I'm not keeping a paper or a spreadsheet on this, so I'm not sure, but I think he'll struggle to come back from this. It doesn't hurt Kaito Kiyomiya too badly, but it certainly didn't hurt us fans. This was a tremendous 30-minute draw. You got exhausted just watching it. You really will. I recommend watching it, even though it's a draw. If you haven't, I recommend still checking this out. It is a fun match. It is an interesting match. It is a brutal match between two of the best in the world, Kaito Kiyomiya and Masa Kitamiya. I would give this show a 9.5 out of 10. It was nearly perfect. Some of the tag team matches were not bad, but they took me out of it. It's not really Noah's fault. They're always going to throw them in there. I probably shouldn't shave the half point off, but I can't call every Noah match, every Noah card perfect. I just can't. I got to leave room for the ones that are going to be perfect. This 9.5 out of 10. Excellent show. Definitely better than the last one. And thank you, Noah, for wrestling done right. I'm going to go to bed here soon. Once I get these uploaded to YouTube, edited and uploaded, that's probably going to be another hour or so. The next show will have started, but I'm not going to be able to watch that live, guys. I'm just tired. All right. I will bring you my thoughts on the show coming up in 1 hour later today, because it is already Sunday. It's 1 a.m. here on the East Coast where I'm at. I'm going to finish my job here on getting these uploaded and go to bed and watch this show that's coming on soon tomorrow and give you my results sometime tomorrow afternoon, evening, somewhere in there. Okay? Thanks for joining me. Adam Lavelle, WrestlingDoneRight.com. Please subscribe to this YouTube. I would so greatly appreciate it. And I'll be back before you know it.